Hey everybody, it's nutritionist Dr. Mike Russell, and welcome to today's episode of the Dr. Mike Show. Today we're going to talk about satiety, our satiety signals, so those feelings that our body sends us to tell us that we're full, and one of my favorite stories that I have from an interaction with probably the greatest satiety researcher, Dr. Barbara Rolls from Penn State University. Today I want to talk a little bit about satiety, and satiety is basically the feelings of fullness that you get. Satiation is essentially the time between meals. So if you have a greater feelings of satiety, then you're going to wait longer. It's that feeling of fullness that you get between meals. So greater satiety is going to lead to feeling fuller between meals, and thus you're less likely to eat sooner, right? So if we can delay the time between eating, then that's one of the things that we can do to help us eat less. Now, Dr. Barbara Rolls, who I mentioned in the show introduction, is a researcher at Penn State University, so I knew her there when I was a graduate student. She's really pioneered the topic of energy density, which is something that we've talked about previously on the show, and we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive in later. But energy density is looking at the calories per gram of food. So you can think about this also as the calories per bite. And what her body of research has really shown is that when you can lower the energy density of a diet, so essentially when you can eat, there are less calories per bite of food, that people are going to eat less and they're going to feel more satiated. So they're going to feel fuller on less calories, right? And that innately makes sense. If you think about it, if you're going to eat something and one bite has 10 calories or one bite has 100 calories, if you're going with the 10 calorie bites, you're going to eat a lot less, right? And so this is a simple foundational nutritional topic or concept that you really want to embody is how can I get less calories per bite while still feeling full? The simple and easy way to do this is fruits and vegetables and lower fat foods, because fat has so much energy density, right? And now when we're thinking of this, especially in today's nutrition climate where it's very pro-fat, saying that you want to eat a lower energy density diet or control fat is not saying that you want to avoid or eliminate fats, but you want to avoid excess fat consumption, because it's so easy to consume or overconsume calories from fat that you really need to be careful about it. And so focusing on how can I eat this diet that has low or minimal calories per bite is going to help you feel fuller, more satiated, but also control calories. So let me get back to this story with Dr. Rolls. So I was actually doing an interview with her for an article that I was writing for Men's Health. This was many years ago, 10 years ago probably. And she had completed a research study in her lab where they were looking at, well, if people eat fruit or eat a salad before a meal, so they're eating vegetables before a meal, or they eat those vegetables during the meal, same amount of vegetables, is one going to make you feel more satiated than the other? Because her previous research had shown that if you're going to have green salad, right, with a low-fat salad dressing, or if you're going to have a broth-based soup before a meal, that generally can decrease the total calories that you eat in that meal by about 12%. So then in this newer research study, they were saying, well, if you eat that before a meal, or if you just eat more overall vegetables during the meal, does one of those have more an effect? And really what they found was that the total amount of vegetables that you eat in a meal is going to drive calorie consumption. So if you're able to eat more vegetables at a meal, you're going to consume less calories, right? And now one of the reasons that though she still recommended people do a salad before is it's essentially making sure that you get in those extra vegetables. So you get in those extra vegetables, and then it sort of starts the cascade of signals in your body to let your body know, like, hey, I have some food. I'm actually feeling a little bit full. And so it kind of jump starts that process. But one of the things when we were talking about that, and she said, well, what we really found is that it could be either, it could be during or it could be before a meal, the vegetable consumption. What really matters is just getting the vegetables in. She said where people go wrong is they don't listen to their bodies. And that those satiety signals, so the signals that our body is sending us saying, hey, I'm starting to feel full, or hey, I'm actually not hungry anymore, those signals are always there, but it's up to us to listen to them. And this is still one of the best, I think, most profound things that someone has ever told me about nutrition, is this isn't getting into the idea of intuitive eating. I think intuitive eating is a little too like floofy hand waving sort of stuff, because I think if we listen to our bodies about eating and not eating exclusively, like if I listened to my body, I would eat a lot of pretzels and popcorn like nonstop, right? So we can't just solely listen to our bodies and what we should eat and when. But it's important to listen to the feedback that our bodies are giving us when we're consuming food. And so that's what she was saying. She goes, yes, the total amount of vegetables is really going to be a big driver of how many calories you eat and how full you feel. And yes, for most people, eating more vegetables at the beginning of the meal is a great strategy because it ensures that you get those vegetables in, and it also jumpstarts those satiety signals. But the key here is you need to listen to your body. If you're not listening to your body, if you're hearing your stomach and you're feeling your stomach say like, hey, I'm actually a little full, and you're thinking, it doesn't matter, this is an all-you-can-eat buffet, like I'm still going to go in on it, that's what we're talking about. That's where you run into trouble. And so the corollary of this is growing up like I was always like this. Like I was the captain, the king, the general, the monarch of the Clean Plate Club. Like if there was food on my plate, I was eating it. And if we're trying to listen to our bodies, guess what? Like maybe you shouldn't eat all the food off your plate. It's sort of an arbitrary amount of food on your plate anyway. And just because you're going out to eat, does that mean you should have dessert and also some side dishes and an appetizer? Not necessarily. Like a lot of the time we get sucked into social cues and situational cues around how much we should eat. And we forget to listen to our bodies when our bodies are like, actually, like you should leave those last 4 bites on your plate and don't have dessert, right? So listening to our bodies is so important. Those satiety signals are always there, but it's up to us to listen to them. So that's really the take-home message for today. The more vegetables you can eat in a given meal, the better it's going to be, because that's going to make you feel more full and satisfied. Eating them at the beginning of the meal ensures that you're going to get them in. But regardless of what you do, you got to take a moment and listen to your body. And when it tells you that it's full or it's starting to feel full, listen.